Q&Q Pharmacy. Quality healthcare at affordable price.
மணக்க மணக்க மசாலா, மணக்காடு சிக்கன் மசாலா மற்றும் சில்லி சிக்கன் மசாலா.
மணக்காடு மசாலா. Taste daily. Taste the daily.
Whereas if they'd gone in on a wet tyre, you can't go from a wet to dry. So for those that are on those old wets, they're likely, well, we're going to have to see how they get on in those opening laps. Kessel Racing, they have that choice to them. We're going to find out what choice they have gone for, and indeed which driver they will install for the start of the race. Their pro driver, David Fuminelli, who was incredible in the opening sensational, that would be the right word, in that opening stint. That was the only stint he did all day yesterday, so they've got a lot of his drive time to use. For me, they are in the prime position right now.
You'd have to suggest. But let's just talk about the crew that came home first after the 7 hours of racing. The 95 Porsche Manamari Energy by Ebby Motors. Only two of their drivers actually drove out of the three yesterday. Sabino De Castro, who started, and then Sergio Nicolai, always looking good. Didn't make any slip-ups as far as we could see. But Fabrizio Broggi, he sacrificed himself yesterday so that he could do his all of his driving today. But they put their Porsche on pole position. They were leading, by a comfortable margin when the 7 hours were completed. But two other cars, including that Kessel Racing Ferrari, were on the same lap. So they line up right alongside him, one alongside, one immediately behind on this restart grid. And I think we've got pretty much all the cars. An overhead shot suggested maybe one or two, either not there and starting from the pit lane, or possibly just not quite in position.
Not quite yet, yes. And we got down on the grid as the drivers are almost ready to go. Diana Binks is down there getting all of the atmosphere. Yesterday, the track was a little bit wetter when we started. Today, let's get a report on how things are looking. Di, down to you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yes, down here on the grid, the teams are now just making their way onto the grid because the cars have lined up. They did a formation lap, as you just said, and now they line up in position here on the grid. A number of drivers, obviously, in the car at the moment. It's pretty quiet down here on the grid, to be fair. They're just going through checking their systems as they line up. So I think you need to come back to me just if you can give me a few minutes' time till I have a few people here to talk to. Otherwise, they're all in the car. But looking at the tyre choice at the moment, it's definitely wet tyres, although I think I can, do bear with me, I think I can just sneak in and have a little chat. Sabine, how are you today?
Yes, fantastic day, fantastic work yesterday for all the team. Today is very different because some car have a new tire because finished the race yesterday with the slick, and today have a new set, and we use the old set. But no problem. Now fight with the Ferrari and another Mercedes, but maybe the Ferrari have 4 laps penalty if don't drive all driver. But well, we try to go fast, maybe finger cross.
What's your approach going to be for the start? What's your approach going to be for the start?
I sort of don't understand, but because I have a helmet. But now the track is all wet. For me, if don't arrive the sun, maybe 1 or 2 hours with the rain, and totally changed the race when one car put the slick and find a solution to go more fast.
Okay, well,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sorry, having a little trouble there hearing me through the helmet. So let's go and speak to Kessel Racing, the number 8 Ferrari that's waiting here. Hold on. Thank you very much. Stabbard. Just fallen down there. If you can hear me well through your helmet, how are you feeling today, first of all?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm feeling great. Yesterday we had a fantastic first part of the race. Conditions are very similar, so yeah, let's see. It's going to be an interesting race due to the strategy calls. It's going to be important to see if we're going to have the chance to put slick tires sooner or later. So yeah, looking forward.
You just did a quick formation lap there. What were the conditions on the circuit?
So I have to say, because it rained quite a lot during the night, it's still wet. There are some parts a bit more wet than others. Yesterday we saw it took very long time to dry the track, so I think the first part of the race will be in this condition, and then hopefully if the weather improves and the sun will come out, it's going to be for slicks.
The characteristics of this Ferrari very much suited to this circuit here in Mugello. Why is that?
I mean, it's a great car to drive here because I think its strength point, it's the aerodynamic, and Mugello, you have a lot of floating and fast corners. So I think these tracks really suits our car. So yeah, yesterday we had a good performance, so let's try to keep it going.
David, just looking at this, we know about the rain and the changing conditions, but for you as a driver, what's your preference? Do you like wet, dry?
In Mugello, I probably prefer dry because it's a very challenging track and very fast track. But I also like the rain. It's a bit more challenging. You have more strategies and possibilities, so it's fun both ways.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a good race. So I will continue just down here on the grid. I'll go to Heart of Racing, the number 27. I think Ian James is the starting driver in the car, and he's just outside of the car at the moment, and then this Mercedes getting ready. Ian, how are you feeling today?
Good. Ready to go again. Excited.
Yesterday was quite a challenge, wasn't it? What was the sort of feel from the other drivers in the team as to how the day went?
I think it went really well. I mean, Hannah, and it was her first wet race, so she was amazing yesterday. Gray did amazing stints as well. We're just trying to keep our nose clean, stay out of trouble, and we managed to do that for 7 hours, 5 more to go.
The strategy call that the team have to make when the conditions are changing like that, how tense is it at times?
Well, it's very tense, and I think it depends where you're running in the order. If you're running a bit further back, you can throw the dice a little bit more, go to slicks, gain advantage there. But if you're running towards the front, you don't want to risk making the wrong move.
I often ask drivers, what's your approach to the race? But when we have endurance races like this, especially when they're split into 2 parts, does that whole that thought process change?
I don't think the 2-part thing changes, but obviously 12 hours, the mentality really should just be to stay on the lead lap, and especially the way Creventic runs it, we just needed to be on the lead lap, so we did everything just to stay on the lead lap yesterday. We were right on the tail end of it, but obviously we gained 2 minutes from the overnight intervention.
All right, Ian, thank you so much. Have a good race.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will continue down here. We'll just go to the Continental Racing, the number 69. Vasily, I think, is the starting driver. May I open the door? Yes. Could you open it for me, please? Thanks, sorry. Vasily, I'm hoping you can hear me.
Maybe.
A little bit. How are you feeling today?
Good. The weather is still not the best, but the position on the grid is much better than yesterday.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? We've got a 5-hour race to go. What's your approach going to be for the start? The restart, rather?
The start will be calm because it's not so wet and everyone is on wet tyres.
Caution into the first corner?
Not really. I have only 2 cars in front.
All right, I'll leave you to it. Thank you very much, Vasily. Thank you for opening the door for us. Where should we go to next? We'll just wander down. There's not so many teams on the grid at this point in the morning, but I think we have got Jake Hill that's in the wrong side. Era Motorsport number 81. Jake, good morning. We've not had a chance to chat to you yet, I don't think. Did a sterling job yesterday. How are you feeling about today?
Yeah, really good, Di. I'm looking forward to it. I'm loving driving this car, around this circuit. It's a real privilege. It's my first time driving a GT3 car in the rain as well yesterday. So, I thought, we'd throw some slicks at it just for good fun, and we made good progress yesterday afternoon. So, yeah, looking forward to this morning. We're going to try and pick off a few of these boys if we can and, continue to move forward.
That seemed like a very good call, as you said, putting the slicks on yesterday, and we saw you getting quicker and quicker. At what point did you think, right, OK, we're going to go for the slick option now?
Yeah, well, when Kyle brought it in for me to get in for the last half an hour there, it was borderline. Obviously, a couple of teams tried it, couldn't make it work, but I was pretty confident that I'd be able to work it hard and just be patient with it and get the temperature up. And yeah, after 3 or 4 laps, it turned out to be a lot quicker than the wet. So took a few brave pills and made it work.
Good for you. How much are you enjoying endurance racing alongside, obviously, your campaign in the UK and the British Touring Car Championship?
Loving it, to be honest. It's it's a completely different form of racing. The endurance side is something I'm really enjoying and getting used to now. But for sure, the touring car ways definitely help this sort of stuff, especially when the grip's low like it was yesterday afternoon, and like I'm sure we're going to have for the start of this race. So, yeah, it's not all bad doing 2 programmes at once.
It's great. Well, it's great to have you here, Jake. Have a great day. Thank you so much. So I will now just throw back to the commentary booth, or I think we're going to take a look and give you a bit more information about the track here in Mugello.
Well, where do we start with Mugello? A historic venue. They've actually been racing around these hillsides since 1914, but the circuit as we know it today has been running since 1974. It's a circuit that's so familiar to motorcycle racing fans, home to the Italian MotoGP race for so many years. But we heard from a few of the drivers there talking about just how quick it is, reaching an ultimate top speed of 274 kph, about 165 miles an hour, as they hit the brakes hard going into San Donato. There's a real crest of a hill. They're going to try and get it calmed down before, from about 165 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour, going down from 6th to 2nd gear. Then it's the climb up the hill, trying to get traction through turn 2, through turn 3. Really, really tricky there as you go up that hill through Lucco and Poggio Secco. Then the latter part of the track through turn 7, 8 and 9, the Arrabbiatos. The GT3 cars are over 100 miles an hour for a prolonged period of time, really putting the left-hand side tyres through the paces. But beautiful flow, beautiful rhythm. This is just a pleasure of a circuit to visit. I can't imagine, Bruce Jones, what it's like to drive.
Well, I think it's a rare thing to have such fabulous flow. Augment that with the ups and downs, and it really, really does make it a challenge. Over the years, we watched great racing here, particularly on 2 wheels. But I first came here 30-something years ago, and the beauty about it, it simply hasn't changed. They might have built an enormous grandstand opposite the pits, but you've still got the Italian farmhouses and little villages and hamlets up on the hills above. Occasionally, apparently, allegedly, sometimes you can see the top of those hills around the circuit. But we were talking earlier about how much the track might dry, but it's very much nestled in its own valley, which means if there is any breeze, it doesn't always get here. And so far, looking at the few flags around the circuit, they're hanging limp. So it's going to take quite a while. We did have a little flash of sunshine for, all of 30 seconds down on the grid about 15 minutes ago. But we heard from, I think, David Fuminelli in that Kessel Racing Ferrari, particularly talking about how it's going to take really quite a while. So anybody who thought of starting on slicks, I think they'll be disabused of that idea.
Well, there are so many storylines up and down this grid. So while we've still got the chance to be on the grid, let's get back down to Diana, who's going to catch up with a few more of our drivers.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yes, I've just come to the back of the grid, so I had to sprint down here, so I'm slightly out of breath. I do apologise. Venture Racing, the number 421. Just want to have... They haven't got a driver. Shall I drive? No, that's not a good idea. OK, let's chat to you guys. Come around. Oh, no. This is the team here. We haven't got a driver yet, so they're all looking... Here he comes. Matthew, we were just, I was just about to have a chat with your team, actually, because they said we haven't got a driver, so...
Yeah, you're lucky you managed to swerve that one. God knows what answer you would have got out of that.
Matthew, let's just have a recap of yesterday from a team perspective and your perspective. How do you feel the day went?
Yeah, pretty good, to be honest. Honestly, we haven't been amazingly fast, so when the rain came, we were quite pleased. It was a chaotic race. I've only done one of these Creventic races before at Barcelona, but it was a lot smoother than it was yesterday with all the Code 60s and everything. But team did an amazing job. We managed to capitalise a lot on all the Code 60s with the fuelling and stuff, and we're in a pretty good position this morning. But I think today is going to be much the same, to be honest, if not worse. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's very competitive, the 24-hour series, and obviously each individual classes are competitive. How do you find the GT4 class?
Yeah, it's mega, and I mean... You look at the grid and there's not that many cars, but I mean, we're still battling amazingly close after 7 hours, and I'd be surprised if that changes over the next 5. And the same in Barcelona, the last round that we did, there was only 6 cars there and we managed to win the race by 1 second. So it's amazingly competitive, and yeah, we absolutely love it.
What's the approach going to be for today, and certainly for the restart of this, because we're just about to go into 5 hours. We still don't know what the conditions are going to do.
Yeah, I think... Best guess is that it's probably not going to rain, so timing when you go to slicks is going to be quite important. But to be honest, we've got a small advantage, so we're just going to get through the first bit and see where we go from there.
Okay, well, look, you have a great day. I see some of your team have just disappeared now. They were obviously a bit frightened that I was just going to go and chat to them. Why don't I just have a chat to you? Okay, name, number.
Lewis. Number? My number? Mobile?
No. Lewis, how are you doing? Obviously, you've got a great team here, but we're just about to get back to the action on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's my first time away with this team. It's pretty exciting, to be honest. First Grenadier ground for myself. The car's doing well so far, so I guess we'll see how the rest of the 5 hours go.
Did anything surprise you yesterday? Because those conditions that we were all facing were sort of not unprecedented, but we haven't seen it like that for a long time.
Yeah, no first corner shunt, really. That was, we saw the onboard of this vehicle. First corner, got a good few places up, and, the rain lights coming towards us. No shunt, so I suppose that's the best scenario, really.
All right, well, look, I'll let you guys go and get ready. All of you have a great day. Thanks very much for having a chat to us here on the grid. Guys, I'm gonna throw back to you.
He's done that before, Bruce. That was far too polished.
I do believe so.
Well done, Dan.
Gabe, for that. Well done for sprinting all the way down to the back of the grid. Hearing some news that the Aston Martin that went missing after about fewer than 60 laps yesterday, new engine stuck on board that one. Great to have it, because we want as many marks in this race. But when listening to Matthew George there, as he points out, only 3 GT4 class cars. They're the slowest cars in the field. 15 cars in GT3, and their lap speed is so much greater. So not only were they battling, learning a track, learning it on wet weather tyres they hadn't driven on before, in rain that was changing in degree the whole time, they have to be on their mirrors almost more than they're looking forward in GT4. And I think the Venture team and the Gebhardt family Porsche Cayman crew did just a really, really good job. The amount of spray that they were looking through to see what was coming up behind them, but also relying on the marshals too to wave those blue flags. And I'd say the driving behaviour was very, very good indeed in terms of cars. The slower cars have to stay on their racing line. The faster cars, it's their job to pick their way safely past them. There'll be plenty of that today, but for the people in GT4 and GTX, it's particularly tricky that they've got to play a sort of two-part role.
And we saw so many times where different cars, different classes, even when they're on dry, there's differences in paces, of course. But the thing is also, when they were on the right tyre or the wrong tyre, that could fluctuate the lap time massively. We saw, well, the Hoffer Racing team, who are up there close to the overall podium as an AM car, they'd taken the risk to go onto dry tyres. They were in the process of bringing them up to temperature. And there was a 992 class car, which typically would be slower, but because they were on the ideal tyre for that condition at that time, they were quicker. They opened the door, the 992 car made a mistake, and bang, they're in the gravel, and that was it. So they've had, we should say that Hoffer Racing have had a 5-lap penalty for working on the car in the intervention brake. I think that's very much by design. They decided to get the car to the end of the first part yesterday, and it's better to take a 5-lap penalty and work on the car, because 5 laps is only, it's not even 10 minutes, is it? So that is, they would have had a lot more than 10 minutes of work to do. So that was a clever thing to do. But 5-lap penalty for them in the AM class. They've got a bit of work to do over the next 5 hours.
Yeah, 7 hours was 161 laps. We had a lot of Code 60s yesterday, and the old phrase, a Code 60 breeds another. What happened, it wasn't particularly warm, and it was a question of people on the restart after the Code 60 was withdrawn. We went back green flag racing, not having enough heat in their tyres and sliding off. The gravel beds had quite a lot of action. The first corner in particular, San Donato, a lot of drivers were going and just realised they weren't going to be turning right and across the painted curbing into the gravel. But the gravel did its jobs. We had cars pulled back out. They continued. But just going back to that Hofer Racing Mercedes, after that contact, very late in the 7th hour, we've got 3 minutes to go until the restart. You, like an eagle-eyed commentator, looked at onboard and said, is there steering out of true? And that would be what they were working on. That what they've taken the 5-lap punishment for. So 161 laps yesterday, but with a lot of Code 60, we might get, I don't know, 130 laps in 5 hours today. Let's wait and see. But it is drying. There are little patches of sunshine on the hills that surround this magnificent circuit. But anybody who is going to be starting on slicks, I think, will struggle enormously to start with, because the track, it's still darker grey than it should be. Well, rain until 7 this morning, on top of rain that was consistently through yesterday. It's a damp environment.
Well, we had our spy on the grid. His name's Ben Constandoris. Oh, whoops. He was looking at everyone and seeing what tyres they were on. A lot of the drivers that finished on dry tyres last night, they've had the chance to put brand new wets on. The Kessel Ferraris, most notably the Era Ferrari, another example. But there was one car that's gone a bit. It's got a bit bold. It's the Lotus at the back of the pack, which has put dry rears on and wet fronts, which is interesting because those are, of course, the driven wheels. So I guess that must generate more temperature with the power going through those rear wheels. So look, we'll keep a close watch on the Lotus to see if that was a good idea or not. I mean, judging by the way that it's still dry at the moment, be very interesting to see how things go. I think quite a lot of the teams will be hoping for an early Code 60 to jump in and put the dry tyres on it. But when is that switch point going to be? And when you do make that switch, those first few laps are treacherous, having to be patient, having to wait for the temperature and pressure to build in the dry tyres. This is going to be a thrilling 5 hours to the flag. I mean, if you're new to the Michelin 24-hour series, if you can imagine, last night we basically threw out a safety car that parked up, more or less. So we've got 3 cars on the lead lap. They all went into Parc Fermé. The Ebbie Motors car, the Manamari Energy Ebbie Motors car, did have a bit of a time advantage. That's taken away. So it's on equal terms with the Kessel Ferrari and the Heart of Racing Aston. Those are the 3 on the lead lap. Then a lap behind that is the Continental Racing Audi. 2 laps behind the leaders is the Era Motorsport Ferrari. So those are the cars that are still well in the hunt for the overall victory and certainly the overall podium. And interestingly, though, all of those cars, the first actually non-AM or Pro-Am car is the Red Hat Racing Mercedes, which is down in 8th. So the AMs and Pro-Ams did a mega job yesterday, really managing their driver lineups and managing when they put people in the car really, really well.
Yeah, the whole element about managing the driver lineups, as we discussed yesterday, quite a few of the drivers, probably the less experienced drivers, decided they might save their driving time until today, and that includes the car on pole position, with Fabrizio Broggi still deciding to let his teammates Sabino De Castro and Sergio Nicolai do the driving when the circuit was at its very, very wettest. So the green flag waves and another formation lap led away by Sabino De Castro in the Ebbie Motors Porsche from pole position. 3 cars on that lead lap.
Q&Q Pharmacy, quality healthcare at affordable price.
மணக்க மணக்க மசாலா, மணக்காடு சிக்கன் மசாலா மற்றும் சில்லி சிக்கன் மசாலா.
மணக்காடு மசாலா. Taste the Daily. Taste the Daily.